carnal, dice mi gente, la raza está abajo y tú estás indiferente. Prefieres cerrar los ojos, no vi nada. Estabas ocupado por andar en la tomada. Te gusta tirar el cruising todo el día, buscando a las mujeres como si el mundo acabaría. Pero no sabías que tú podías continuar tu educación para superarte en la vida. Hermano joven, levanta tu frente y siente el orgullo de ser un descendiente de los aztecas, los incas y los mayas. Ayúdame a pelear y vencer esta...
Pueblo indígena, levántate ya, despierta del sueño, vuelve a mirar, es tiempo de reclamar tu identidad, es tiempo de volver a la verdad, recupera la tierra, recupera el honor, que vive en la sangre de cada ancestro mayor, nos quisieron borrar, pero aquí seguimos, imposible después, todavía resistimos, pueblo indígena, levántate, despierta del sueño otra vez, recupera tu identidad, camina con dignidad, somos los pueblos originales, la fuerza de nuestros mayores, Tortelaya, Aviala, que despierten los corazones, dicen mestizo, quieren nombrarte así, pero el corazón pregunta, ¿quién soy yo aquí? Nos pusieron etiqueta.
Hello, ¿cómo están? Es Antonio Díaz con su programa de Mestizo Experience. Estamos en el mes de agosto 2026 y pues las cosas aquí para nosotros de color de este piel, estamos siendo atacados otra vez por este gobierno que no está satisfecho si no nos puede borrar completamente. Lo que le llaman el hielo, ¿no? El ice. Ha matado ya más gente, mató ya tanta gente que estamos pidiendo que por qué dejan esto que sigue pasando cuando la gente que están matando no son los que andan ahí buscando, no son criminales. Y si han violado una ley, es una ley civil, no es una ley criminal. Esa es la distinción como a Lorenzo. Un padre de hijos y nietos y aquí en el estado de Texas por 35 años y para les enseño los videos que enseño, aunque estén en inglés, no, pues, pero en náhuatl, es la historia, no, que siempre nos han atacado que llegaron los españoles para que habláramos esta lengua y nos convirtieran a cristianos. Porque si no nos aceptaban como seres humanos, iguales como ellos, ¿no? Ya éramos salvajes y animales. Aunque los ancestros tenían Tenochtitlán o cualquier otra ciudad en México, de los incas o los mayas, eran enormes, eran grandes. Tenían más gente en los tianguises de Tenochtitlán que habían en París o en Londres, había más gente, más civilizados, porque tenían manera de purificar el agua, de no estar comiendo la mierda de uno, no aventándolo en la calle como lo hacían en Europa. Pero bueno, forzaron esa cultura a nosotros y han seguido. Yo por eso les digo, las batallas que México ha sido, las revoluciones en contra de España, fue porque los españoles se creían superiores porque eran blancos y los que parecían más y más indígenas, pues menos y menos derecho tenían, ¿no? Y los ponían más y más a ser esclavos. Solo que esas fueron las revoluciones y México de hoy siempre ha sido más independiente y ha tratado de luchar sobre los derechos humanos más que este país de los Estados Unidos, aunque aquí en los Estados Unidos siguen diciendo que qué tan demócrata la república y quién sabe qué más y que los derechos civiles pero los están violando derechos y para la izquierda y para la derecha los violan por todos lados, especialmente nuestros derechos. Pues la gente negra también no ha tenido. Los españoles también fueron los que trajeron a los africanos para acá de esclavos, ¿no? en 1500, ya 500 años para atrás. Esto no es nada nuevo. Y no cambia, lo poquito que cambia, los blancos luego se ponen que, ay, ellos van a ser los superiores y nosotros los vamos a hacer los menores, y empiezan a hacer leyes para todavía justificar sus crímenes. Que hoy en día este Donald Trump le importa a él nomás que siga el dinero para su banco, su cuenta de su banco. Él por eso pone a una raza o a un tipo de gente en contra de otro, para que todos estén divididos y peleándose, y que él siga con la mayoría de los blancos que lo apoyan violar leyes migratorias, que estas leyes no deben de estar implementadas en contra de nosotros, porque nosotros tenemos raíces indígenas, pero como los Estados Unidos no respeta no lo respeta, las leyes mundiales, nomás cuando ellos quieren. Nosotros tenemos derechos de migrar, siendo descendientes de las originales gentes de aquí, tenemos el derecho de migrar del sur para el norte y del norte para el sur, pero nos violan esos derechos humanos con las leyes nacionalistas que ellos implementan en contra de nosotros. Es lo que está pasando hoy en día.
Yo soy la voz del maíz, el eco de los abuelos aún por venir. I snatched the mic from conquistadors' descendants, resurrect ancestors in every sentence. You built your cathedrals on our bones and our essence, but I'm the vengeance encoded in every lesson. I'm obsidian tongue, now well in the rhythm. My syllables sliced like Quetzal plumes in prism. I'm the algorithm of forgotten prisms, the DNA of kingdoms pre-Christian. You call me illegal alien, I call that fiction. A label invented after linguistic crucifixion. They baptized our vision, erased tradition, but I'm the codex risen. Glyphs and transmissions, apotech, mathematics, mixed deck, manuscripts, tricky linguistics encrypted in hieroglyph scripts. I spit solar flares, Olmec in the syntax, before your prophets ever dreamed of sin acts.
I'm the son of maize, not the son of Spain. Blood of volcanoes pulsing through my veins. Colonial trauma encoded in my brain, but I broke those chains. Jaguar untamed, they say Mestizo, like it's a downgrade, but I'm the upgrade. 2,000 years unafraid. Before Adam, before Rome, before crusades, we had calendars calculating cosmic waves. You burn our codices cold as pagans, but our science was quantum equations. We mapped Orion with obsidian tools. You map crusades with blood and fools. I'm now with tongue, Inca stone, Wixarica prayer. Maya timekeeper, celestial layers. Chicanos not slang, it's reclamation of decolonized nation within a nation.
From Alaska to Andes, I see reflections. Cherokee, Maya, Mapuche connections. I'm the fusion of feathers and fire direction. The smoke of incense, rebellion's complexion. They call me Latino, nah, that's oppression. They call me Hispanic, that's possession. You can't colonize what's eternal. I'm internal, infernal, ancestral journal. The Taino's conch still echoes through wind. The Keek still chant what's never been dimmed. The Aymara still guard the sacred rim. We are not myths, we are oxygen. I'm the voice of the Pueblos you forgot to name. The prophets are fulfilled in the hip-hop flame. This is not rap, it's blood memory on tape. An Aztec priest with the mic instead of a blade.
I am not Hebrew, not Roman, not slave. Not from Atlantis, not from caves. I'm from the land where the sun behaves, where serpents dance and the cosmos waves. They dress that truth in European masks, but we speak in pyramids, geometry that lasts. Your scholars study what we whispered in dreams. We build philosophy from rivers and beams. Call me rebel, call me savage, call me heathen, but I resurrect civilization still breathing. I'm the Tlaitowani of broken youth, preaching that decolonization is truth. This is Aslan reborn, no Bible, no sword, just words sharper than obsidian cord. Every rhyme a ritual, every verse a prayer to awaken the millions who forgot we're still there. Yo soy la voz del maíz,
el eco de los abuelos aún por venir. No soy ilegal, soy mil naciones en mí. Soy mixes zapoteco, rara morir. I'm every tribe they try to divide, of every tongue and they try to hide. The blood remembers even when we forget. We are the sun that refuses to set. No borders, no names, no shame. We are the fire before the flame. The original people, the first, the last, the future. future dressed in the echoes of the past.
I've been talking about how long our people have been here. We've been here thousands of years. Just myself, if you research my Coahuiltecan roots, they go back 17,000 years or so that are here by the remains. But we have archaeologists or whatever, they always want to be chipping on your tooth or your cheek or something to prove that you are of that people. Otherwise they say, well, no, those people are no longer around and you have no rights to their remains or any cultural ties at all, the land. But that's BS. We know our history. We're the people that created these missions here that bring in all the money for today's local economy here in San Antonio. Being now it's a World Heritage Site and supposed to draw people from all around the world, because the Alamo, where those slave owners that came, those Anglo slave owners that came from the 13 colonies or up north and invaded, said they'd be Mexican citizens, but instead all they had in their mind was to invade and take over. Once they got enough of their white people over here, they wanted to continue slavery, which they did, right? The war they did on Mexico in 1846 and the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848, creating the Rio Grande, the Nueces River, then the Rio Grande as their international border, which now they shove down our throats still and on our necks that we are the illegals and they are the legal, and oh, you're illegal, come over here and do it the right way. They never did it the right way. They just invaded and took over. And they say, well, we beat you in battle. Well, they pretty much waited until Mexico, once they had fought against Spain and France and were depleted, they even had to borrow from the United States to have more weapons to finish fighting off Spain. And so they knew how weak the military of Spain at that time was, and to continue and invade and be able to make war. And the United States was still just trading with all the other European nations that their people were coming from and setting up trade, which is why they came here to begin with, right? I'm talking about England and France and the rest that said, oh, well, we can go over there and get fur, we can go over there and get all those plants, tobacco and cotton, and let's take slaves over there too. We can really export everything. That's how this nation, this government of the United States was founded. By trade, by traders that came over here first. But since we didn't have any kings or somebody that owned all the land like they did with their king, or their royal people that had their peons and slaves and owned everything, all the dirt and water and whatever trees that grew and everything. Because somebody that lived under the king of France or the king of Spain or the king of England, they couldn't go just hunting or fishing. They'd get punished. That's the laws they brought over here. So the trade, when they started the trade, they thought they had to pay somebody for it. When our ancestors said, no, just go fishing or go hunting, and that's what we do, they went crazy. They tried to exterminate everything, which they're still trying to do, to sell it. But they continue with trying to make us the foreigners. All throughout, since 1850, they've had this deal of trying to deport. Well, 1830s they deported native people, right? They actually removed and deported native people. You talk about the Trail of Tears. There were several Trail of Tears, always sending native people to barren lands so they could have the lakes and the trees and all the nice land where they could. But they would end up deforesting, right? Chopping down all the trees so they could plant and farm and do. They go crazy. But here in Texas, or here in the Southwest, because they took over eight states from Mexico, where they call us the illegals. But they've come up with different terms, right? Because the Jim Crow laws, all these laws that applied to the slaves that they brought, their chattel slaves that they brought from Africa, that they wanted to keep as slaves or as somehow servants for life, because they made them sign contracts after 1865 saying, you're going to still work here for a penny a day and use our store, so be indebted forever, and so are your kids. And that's the type of government that still tries to exist here. But they want to call us illegals. They used to call us all sorts of names once they claimed that it was their land. Anything from greasers to wetbacks to, these are the labels that they put on us to make us lesser than. To be able to say you can't eat in this restaurant, even though Mexican families used to own all that land for 200 or 300 years before a white ever stepped on that. All of a sudden they had their little gas station or their little restaurant and said, no, you can't come in here, you dirty Mexican or wetback or greaser or whatever they wanted to use, those labels. Well, today's labels to show their racist and bigotry are illegal. And as I always say, there's no one illegal, and it's not possible for a human being to be illegal. At least in the 15th century, when they came over here, they said they used to say there's no illegal human because they had the right to come in to get fresh water. They're the original boat people, okay? They came over here in boats, starving and needed fresh water, and our ancestors let them come on and get water and food and all these supplies. They said they could not be denied that. They could not be denied, or they would cause war, because we Native people were violating their human rights if we stopped them from coming ashore and getting fresh water and food, right? But now it's denied to us. Our people are called illegal and are put in detention. I call them concentration camps, just like they used to use back during the different wars. Japanese people went through this, or Asian people went through this in the 1930s and 40s, where they were placed in concentration camps here in the United States. Why didn't they do it to the Germans? That's what I want to say. All they started with them was that espionage and all that, but they didn't grab all the Germans and throw them into concentration camps. But here we are, because of the color of our skin. Governor Abbott, like I talked about, Donald Trump not giving a damn about anybody other than his family and his bank accounts and how he can swindle and corrupt and take money from any leaders around the world with this stupid tariffs and wars and all these things that he does. He's using the military of the United States like his little personal gang that he goes and attacks so that he can get more money into his bank account. And we're so stupid. Oh, we got to follow the rules and stuff, but he don't follow the rules. He manipulates the rules. Abbott doing the same thing. Abbott has basically sacked the public education system using the charter school BS. And because, again, even though they say, well, he doesn't get money, he doesn't own stock in Mobil and Chevron and Exxon like Trump does, but these are his main contributors to his campaigns, his main financiers. Why would they do that? And along with that is, they're also the ones that are putting up all these data centers. San Antonio and Austin lead the world in data centers, how many we have, and want to have more. But these data centers are tax exempt by Governor Abbott. So they put these big ass data centers and they don't pay taxes. They get a tax abated. So then there's no taxes created for public school. And then you have him siphoning off public school funds for his charter school buddies that he's got to be getting money. It's just, so we've got to get somebody in there, some accountants, to really search his background, because all his money didn't come from his breaking his back from the tree falling on him that he sued or whatever. No, he got money there to get into politics, but he doesn't just keep on flowing where he's a multi-millionaire becoming a billionaire off of just being governor of Texas. He's getting money from all these other people. He's just smart enough to hide it. Trump doesn't give a damn. He'd do it right in your face. It's like when he was running the first time, saying he could go ahead and shoot somebody down there at Central Park and he still get elected president because nobody cares. pretty much, right? Trying to put that guy in prison over that what is it, that the water over there in Washington D.C. that he supposedly cleared up that and put that little siding in there that got tore up, and not trying to make everybody a criminal. He's just using it to keep people from even enjoying that park. And everybody keeps on, all these mega people, I don't know, make America great again. I don't say it. It's just make America racist, blatant racist again. Segregation existed, slavery existed, all this land theft from Mexicans existed. If you're talking about Porvenir or all these other, La Matanza, all these things that have happened here against Mexicans in the Southwest, lynchings, burning of whole villages, and people getting burned alive, started with the Spaniards, yeah, against natives, but continued on by the Anglos after they wanted the land during the 19th century. So and now we're illegal. That label plastered on brown people, SB4, 287G, these laws that Trump and Abbott fought for to be able to actually practice racism, racial profiling people, and it's legal. Say, well, you voted for it, well, yeah, and you're stupid, but we get only 10%. We're lucky when we get 20% of the population of this county, not the city, the county, to come out to vote. And so if you got little towns around here that are almost all white, and they're going to vote to keep on practicing this racial discrimination. Again, because of the fear of, we're becoming the minority. And so what? Guess what? We brown people have always believed in human rights. We wouldn't do to you what you've been doing to us. And that's the same thing for our black brothers. When they've come over here, they've never practiced the racism. They fought against it. And that's our major difference. We've never tried to oppress white people. You have oppressed each other, because if you look at it historically and you go to Europe, you'll find that Greeks were once slaves of, and Romans were once slaves of this and that, and so they've enslaved one another and brought that over here and taught us how to practice this here. But we've overturned it, except the Republicans, which is kind of crazy because Republicans, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican who fought, who actually wanted to abolish slavery in the United States. Pretty much like Vicente Guerrero, who was the president of Mexico after the revolution in 1829, abolished slavery in Mexico. Well, Abraham Lincoln did it in the United States in the 1860s. They both got assassinated, okay, over that. Vicente Guerrero got assassinated after having abolished slavery in Mexico. Abraham Lincoln got assassinated in the United States after winning the war between the Confederacy and the United States, because the Confederates wanted to keep the old ways, like MAGA. They wanted to keep on making America great by keeping blacks enslaved and keeping their big mansions and servants working for free and raping the black young women and doing all the stuff they were doing legal. So they wanted, people are dying inside these concentration camps. The federal government is opening up one here on San Antonio, off of 410 on the southeast side. And people are already being arrested because ICE is already in there, even though they haven't even done anything to renovate that place to be able to be occupied by human beings. It's a warehouse. But they're already in there protecting it, so they can arrest people. This is insane, okay? Because it's going backwards. But it's to maintain white power, white supremacy on this government. That's all it is. The Republicans keep pushing against education, against anything that is more or less socialist. There must be some socialism. Otherwise, how are you going to pay for Social Security, Medicaid, VA rights, all these things that we get after we put into the government? These rich billionaires that they want to be trillionaires and billionaires. There should be a ceiling, and the rest should be returned to the government so the government can function. And then you could say it's a great country, because everybody would have food, housing, without having to work themselves to death and be indentured servants all their lives, and their children looking towards that same future, right? of having to work all their lives thinking, I might become a millionaire. 1 out of 300 million or whatever, I'll become one. Como le estoy diciendo, todas estas mentiras que este gobierno sigue implementando en contra de nosotros es para todavía continuar con su racismo en contra de nosotros. Nos llamaban mojados, nos llamaban todos tipos de nombres. Hoy en día nos llaman ilegales para poder encarcelarlos, para poder violar nuestros derechos civiles. Ya es tiempo de decir, ya basta. Antonio Díaz con su programa de Mestizo Experience. Tosticate, Tlazocamate.
They call us Latino, a word born from the French tongue. Made to rap out thousands of worlds into one easy label for the census and the screen. But there is no single rhythm, no single drum. We are the echoes of 1,000 tongues. Before a single word of Latin ever touched these sons. There is no such thing as Latino or Hispanic culture. There are many cultures, each inside each nation. We are many nations, even Mexico has many ethnic cities, many people. We are many fires. So how you gonna lump over 20 nations as one? They just erase us to make control easier. To brand the original with one colonized name. Hispanic means property of Hispania. And last I checked, we ain't property no more. Latino means Latin rooted, but the Latin was the tongue of Rome. Not of my home, we never needed empires to speak our truth. So who you with? The colonizer or the ancestor that bled for your existence? Mestizo, you got a choice. Wear the crown of the oppressed or the mask of the oppressor. Your blood remembers your language was forced, but your soul that still speaks indigenous tongues, even in silence. They categorize me for census and stats. Latino, this Hispanic, that I ain't none of that. You speaking French inventions and Iberian tags, while I'm speaking for the people who survived the acts. We ain't Latins, dog, we indigenous coded, DNA loaded, history exploded. We built empires before your Bible unfolded. Before Rome even thought the earth was molded. My food predates you like my existence. You tasted conquest, I taste time. Ancestors live in every line. I got nothing in common with white Argentines or white Brazilians living colonized dreams. Don't lump me with a lie that erased my shrine. I'm from the far Spain, cooking quarantine. We not from Spain, so why you saying it's Spanish? We ain't from France, so why you saying Latino? If English don't make an African Anglo and Spanish don't make me their people. This land ain't foreign. They drew the borders, but the rivers still remember our songs. Before America, before Latin, before New World, there was only the world ours. They renamed us to erase us, called us foreigners on our own soil. But I know my lineage, and my blood don't lie. Yeah, yo, the US used these labels like camouflage. Made us think we immigrants instead of mirage. We not minorities, we majority displaced. Our pyramids buried under parking space. They say Latino pride, but pride in what lie? A French creation to pacify. We from lines of warriors, not colonies. From calendars of stone, not Roman policies. I got maize in my veins, obsidian in my eyes. Creation stories written in my skies. My last name Spanish, but my soul Nahuatl. My grandma spoke tongues older than any Bible vow. You can't cage the condor, can't chain the Quetzal. We been flying since before the Vatican had walls. From the Andes to the Rio Grande, same call. We are the first, not the aftermath at all. Say my name in truth. Don't call me what the empire called me. Call me Maya, Linka, Puta Pecha, Kuna, Mapuche, Aymara. Call me free, or call me by my nationality, my tribe, my people. Because my blood is the soil, and my soul remembers before your borders and laws. We are not Latino, we are not Hispanic. We are the descendants of the first light, the people of the maize, the people of the sun. We are the 500 nations reborn, not subjects of a language, but authors of existence.
¿Qué onda, carnal? Dice mi gente, la raza está abajo y tú estás indiferente. Prefieres cerrar los ojos, no vi nada. Estabas ocupado por andar en la tomada. Te gusta tirar el cruising todo el día, buscando a las mujeres como si el mundo acabaría. Pero no sabías que tú podías continuar tu educación para superarte en la vida. Hermano joven, levanta tu frente y siente el orgullo de ser un descendiente de los aztecas, los incas y los mayas. Ayúdame a pelear y vencer.